Yeah.
So, for the past couple of years, several games are coming out in special limited edition, collector's edition packages. Now, these products include posters, artwork, comic books, soundtracks, and even action figures, along with the game itself. They're meant to appeal towards collectors and completists who are willing to spend more money beyond the standard single game. Now, ideally, these limited edition packs are deluxe exclusive items that should potentially increase in monetary value over time. That is, if demand and availability are truly askewed in benefit of the owner, and it can take many years for such releases to gain value. But are they worth the extra $20 or $30? Never mind that you're already spending $60+ on a brand new video game. Can you afford or even willing to invest $80+ up to $100 on a couple of gimmicks that usually don't have direct impact on the game itself? Earlier in 2010, I made a rant regarding the superfluous nature of instruction manuals, where I suggested that companies can make them more interesting if they added bonus freebies in the instruction manual. So extra stickers or artwork or posters, and as long as these items are free, meaning that they don't cost the consumer extra. These collector's edition packs are not inexpensive, and the bonus items are certainly not free. So how many of these are actually worth the money? Let's take a look. Bioshock 2, a highly anticipated sequel, came out earlier this year at a whopping $69.99. So that's like $70+ including tax at Best Buy. So just mere months later, they got Bioshock 2, and then they cut that down to like a budget $29.99, so $30, which is like the same exact price as a game like Infamous that was released over a year ago. So how come this happened? Why in just like a matter of months, just like 2 or 3 months, Bioshock 2, a highly anticipated sequel, highly hyped, everybody wants it, brand new game, and then all of a sudden it's $30? Because Bioshock 2, the collector's edition, that game came out for a testicle-wrenching $98, alright, including tax. So it's like up to $100. The collector's edition is incredibly expensive. So you get this bonus action figure, a more, I don't know, I guess there's more things in the actual package that makes it more appealing. It's got bonus artwork, and like I said, the action figure. It's got a shiny, cover, packaging. And not to mention the fact that they have all these DLCs, these downloadable content, that basically forces you to, if you want to play Bioshock 2 in its full form, and it's got like every level in there, you gotta download and pay money for the extra stuff, which should have been in the actual game to begin with, because you're spending, $70+ in a brand new game. So the people who got screwed in the process, the poor saps who purchased $70+ on the initial Bioshock 2 game-only release, they got owned because they were basically ripped off, their money flushed down the toilet because of, that idiotic decision to have DLCs, and then you have this collector's edition, and then, I mean, so like, how are these guys supposed to know, right? Like, how are these fans supposed to know that their so-called new game is going to be replaced by, basically, you got a complete, not a more complete, but you got a collector's edition that's basically more appealing, and you got these DLC stuff. So, I mean, people got ripped off. Now, I love Tekken, right? But after spending, $60+ on a brand new copy, the game becomes a budget-priced title within like 5 or 6 months. So it becomes $20, like, around July or August of this year. And even I felt cheated, despite being such a huge Tekken fan. And like, Tekken 6 didn't even suck that bad. It's a good fighting game. You know, I admit that it could have been better, but it's like Namco was like, oh my god, we didn't sell as much as we hoped, and we got bad reviews from some people, so now let's just cut it down to 20 bucks. And, you know, like I said, I felt kind of cheated because I spent that much money where I could have bought it like just a few months later for 20 bucks. Speaking of Tekken 6, remember that arcade stick bundle pack that came out last year? Yeah. Do you remember that? With the arcade stick, and it's got like this art book, and no, you don't. You know why? Because nobody gave a crap. Alright, it had this arcade joystick button pad, and it's got like this, I think, 100-page art book with like these designs, these character designs and artwork from the actual game designers from Namco. And it's basically meant to relive the arcade experience that people used to have when they played Tekken back in the day. Well, guess what? The only reason that it came out for the Xbox is because the 360 controller's D-pad sucks. Alright? The Xbox 360 has a shitty D-pad, especially for fighting games. So, especially with a game like Tekken, which is designed to run on a PlayStation controller, and when you control the characters, when you play as the characters, the moves and the combos are meant to be used on a PS2, PS3, Sony D-pad. And like, I'm not bashing the Xbox. You know, I'm not making fun of Xbox, but I am bashing Namco and their idiocy for expecting fans to spend, you know, $160+ on a single-purpose arcade stick, since they decided to release the once Sony exclusive Tekken on the 360. You know, it's as if Namco has no more desire to make innovative games, and all they care about is making a quick dollar. They pretty much sold out by doing these nonsensical gimmick crossovers, such as putting Star Wars characters in their Dark Ages-based fighting game, while simultaneously releasing franchises on broken consoles. Now, speaking of broken, let's look at Broken Fingers and gangsterism. I'm talking about Mafia 2, the Collector's Edition. This is another game that came out this year with kind of questionable background. Remember when that Mafia 2 spokesperson exposed how the PS3 version will have inferior presentation compared to the 360? Whoops, big mistake, buddy. So what the hell are they gonna do? They released this so-called exclusive, air quotations, this add-on pack of Mafia 2 on the PS3. I'm surprised that Sony actually allowed Mafia 2 to be released on their console. Because if a developer spokesperson told me that my direct competition is getting a better version of the game, I'm going to kick them to the curb and never let them release any more titles on my system. But some companies actually take the time to release good product, including the Metal Gear Solid 4 Collector's Edition. You get the old Snake action figure, a making-of documentary, and some exclusive material. Plus, it's one of the best games ever made. You know, and I'm sure that the game itself, the actual Metal Gear Solid 4 game itself, is going to be worth something, just for its incredible presentation and value. But the collector's pack is a Metal Gear shrine, so I mean, personally, I've always dug action figures ever since I was a kid, and to possess such like a collectible piece of plastic is just nerd ecstasy. Even the Assassin's Creed action figure is pretty cool, even though the game isn't that incredible. I mean, I think there should be a limit. Crappy games don't deserve a limited edition or a collector's edition, okay? Like, what is the point of overspending on a subpar video game with some gimmicks? And if the game does suck and it has a collector's pack, then release that pack as lower priced. Now, I'm not saying that SmackDown vs. Raw 2009 sucked, but its bonus content does. So, it came out with this collector's edition metal case steelbook thing that has like an extra Blu-ray or DVD of matches and a making of documentary. So the matches pretty much sucked, and the making of documentary was pointless because it's a wrestling game. I mean, come on. So, was it worth the extra $20? Hell no. You know, but it was that price. It was expensive when it came out. So that's why, like, when I saw the game at Toys R Us, like just 5 or 6 months ago, they're selling it for like $20. The actual limited edition for $20 because that's how much it's worth. So the truth is, you know, some of these add-on packs and these bonus content are pretty cool. I mean, Castlevania Lords of Shadow has a nice case with the soundtrack and the art book. Now, to be honest, I don't know how many people, or I don't know too many people these days, besides me, who actually listen or pay for music CDs anymore. I know that they still sell it at the stores, but it's like, who the hell buys CDs anymore? Like music. You know, it's just download stuff. But I am a music fan, and as a music fan, I appreciate the idea. I mean, yo, I marked out back in the day, like when Killer Instinct came out with a bonus soundtrack, CD, Killer Cuts back in the 90s, you know, and now it's like it's 2010, it's 2010. I'm not sure if OST discs are worth buying, to be honest. I mean, think of it this way. When Warcraft 2 came out in the mid-90s, you know, we're talking about 95, 96 people, and that disc, the actual game disc, already had the soundtrack within the actual CD. So all you had to do was put the Warcraft 2 in a CD player, and then you can listen to the audio, you know, the music, the actual in-game soundtrack. So, I mean, are you telling me that you can't just, like, put it on a Blu-ray or a DVD or something and then just listen to the soundtrack? I mean, there's so many games, especially during, like, the 16-bit era, Super Nintendo and the Sega Genesis, it had the BGM, you know, already in the game. It already had the video game soundtrack and the options. And it just seems like over the years, like, the gaming companies have gone backwards, since you can't, you almost never see the BGM in the option menu screens anymore. It's kind of this, it's weird. It just, they stopped putting in the video game soundtrack as a listen only form of you know, music only, and it's like, who cares about CDs anyway? Like, CDs are old, they're outdated, and if anything, the OST should only be accessible in the game or through the internet if you want to download it. I mean, just, you know, just give me a cool action figure. Just give me an action figure or a really tasteful, cool poster, and those items have collector charisma. You know, they're very charismatic pieces of product that you wanna keep those. They have long-lasting appeal. And creative, nice packaging too. You know, you gotta have good packaging. It's always great to differentiate between, like, the regular versions and the special versions. But this is just my opinion, but the greatest add-on content would be the actual game. So, bonus video games. For example, the God of War 3 Trilogy Pack. The collection includes the God of War 1 and 2 and God of War 3, meaning you get like 3 awesome games in a single package, plus it's inside this awesome Pandora's box case. It does have the soundtrack in there, but, you know, whatever, that's... And what if Tekken 6, you know, instead of like this tacky large poster, had a bonus disc containing like Tekken Dark Resurrection instead, or even Tekken Advance, you know, a game that came out for the Game Boy Advance so many years ago. I mean, I'd rather have that than like a, you know, like a crappy poster or like a little soundtrack CD. I really don't care. Give me a game, okay? It's really cool to have that historical connection and that celebration of the history and the franchise. I mean, back in the day, they had, when Mortal Kombat Deception came out, the collector's edition, they had this arcade quality version of the original Mortal Kombat. And that's not in the regular Mortal Kombat Deception games. Speaking of game collections, stay tuned, because next time I will discuss some 3-disc, 3-set collections for the PS3. The PS3 has been releasing like these 3-disc games So check that out. It's gonna be in the future. So to close this rant, I conclude with this. Limited edition games and collector's edition packs are a great idea for those with extra money to spend on their favorite game franchises. But let's not forget that the most important aspect of these products are the games. If a game is incredible, then it deserves to be celebrated in such a way. But those titles that receive mostly negative reviews from critics and gamers alike should never get their own collector's edition.